Good night and welcome to Mindful Life 337. I am your host, Nathan Springer. Well, your co-host. The host was here earlier. She's now looking to join Dreamland. It is the 29th of January. January nearly to a close here. Final week inside of January. Once you're inside, of course, make sure you hit that like button, double tap the screen over there on TikTok. That's how you hit the like button there. However you do it on Facebook, you hit that like button. Allow the algorithm to know, hey, this is some good stuff. This is some good stuff. We want more of this. That's what you allow the algorithm to know. So you hit that like button and the algorithm tells whoever they have to tell that. And if you are viewing this on YouTube, also on the repeat streaming live over there, and it will be there. If you're interested, you missed piece, you missed another live. We're on live 337, so you could, intuit how many lives passed before that. And if you're interested in any of those, head over to YouTube, Nathan Springer over there. Be sure to subscribe so you can catch any of those lives and the content over there. On the tail end of some kind of flu bug or something that passed through in January. I'm just happy I didn't get the worst of it, but something passed through in January and it take down real people. But we're on the tail end of it. Thank God for that. We're inside the live. This has been brought to you, as per usual. I don't always say this, but this has been brought to you by Mindful Education. It's the educational institution that I run. If you're looking to connect with us, Mindful with 2Ls _ education over on Instagram, be sure to message me wherever you see me if you're interested. We provide learning pod classes, pod learning for the learning stages, preschool straight up to CXC, and individual classes for most CXC and CAPE subjects, individual tutoring. If you need that one-on-one attention, be sure to hit us up. All right, I would not be surprised if the US is not constituted in its current form by the end of the decade. I will not be surprised either, Kuvon. They are flirting with a very serious civil war. To me, in my opinion, the United States is flirting with civil war. Oh, Paul Duncan, good night, Otis. And that's a very foolish thing. That's a very foolish thing. Who knows? At least we won't be under the power of the almighty US dollar then. Maybe. Let's jump in. TOCO teen held for Scarborough shooting. A teenager from TOCO has been arrested for a shooting in Scarborough on January 6th, which left 4 people injured. According to police, a group of men were gathered in front of a supermarket at the corner of Carrington Street and Wilson Road in Scarborough just after 7 p.m. When a gunman approached and fired at them, the men scattered in various directions and the gunman escaped on foot. In an interview with Tobago Updates on Monday, Superintendent Rod Hill Kirk said, "We have arrested 1 person and charges will be laid. That person is due to appear before a court. It's an 18-year-old youth from TOCO." Lots of little interesting pieces of information to me right there. One, the fact that he's 18, that's telling. And I keep saying, this younger generation that had a piece missed out during the COVID, 3 years. If you're 27 and from 2020 to 2023, you went from 27 to 30. It feels like nothing. That's irrelevant to you. Maybe you and your girlfriend get a little more serious. You might have tied a knot or something, maybe. But those 3 years, if that's 15 to 18 in a youth, those years are much more important. What happens in those 3 years is much more important. And I keep saying this, the millennials, 26 and up, we faced the pandemic, we faced the lockdowns, we were locked down for not lockdown, but we were up and down for 3 years, but we were well within our height of adulthood already, young adulthood as it might be, but 3 years in that phase, it's not terrible. If you miss Form 3, 4, and 5, For Form 3, 4, and 5, you were one of those who didn't attend online class. When the classes came back in this kind of phased-in thing, you didn't bother with that. By the time CXC come around, you were done. You already initiated in your gang. $18, and then not even from TOCO, not even from Tobago, sorry, from TOCO. How does an 18-year-old TOCO boy reach in Tobago shooting at people? Kirk said, I just want to assure the public that the police are doing everything within their power to deal with these murders. And we have to urge the public to be a bit patient because a murder investigation is one that is complex. And whilst we know that there's a lot of work to go into it, we don't give away accuracy or speed. Kirk noted that there were also several roadblocks across the island on the weekend. This led to an arrest being made. We had the police on the roadways and 3 persons were arrested for possession of marijuana for the purpose of trafficking. That is on the Winmore Road in the vicinity of Goodwood High School. He reiterated his appeal for the public to help in the fight against roadblocks. He noted that there continues to be collusion to inform people when roadblocks are set up. We are the persons responsible for making Tobago safe. I don't know what is happening, he said. Some people are bent on coming out against that initiative because you would see on the airwaves that persons are calling around. Every time the police is on the road, they are calling. Listen, RL says, I mean, how exactly we solving this? Here's how we're solving this. Let at least one officer who mentions this folly, at least one, speak honestly about it. This big grown man is saying, I don't know what is happening. Do you? Not? Like anybody in Trinidad doesn't understand why people call around for roadblocks. Is there any Trini or Trinbagonian, any Tobagonian that doesn't understand why people are calling around for roadblocks? Are they trying to hide out the gunmen? No. Our traffic laws are onerous. They are oppressive. And as much as we would like, listen, the fact that we call around, that's a good sign on Trinbago, man. The fact that Trinidadians want to warn their fellow Trinbagonians, don't go and pay $1,200 to a wasteful government, I would always say that's a sign that Trinidadians still have a bit of brother's keeper in them. That's what that's what they're trying to do. The reason they call around is trying to be their brother's keeper. And if we want to solve this, at least let one officer be honest about it. At least be honest. Don't pretend like we don't understand and we have no idea. Why would good law-abiding citizens tell other law-abiding citizens where the roadblocks are? We have no idea why they do that. We know why they do that. We know. Because the vast majority, double vast, triple vast majority of roadblock exercises aren't about getting guns off the street. The most they might do is pinch someone who isn't driving with their license or an expired insurance. And to be very honest with you, that doesn't bother me preeminently. If we could leave all the no insurance people, expired licenses, if we could leave all of them on the road, and have the police raiding the drug blocks and the gang strongholds, fine by me. I will risk it. And the no insurance being a charge is such a strange thing. That's the insurance companies getting in on the game there to make sure that they make money on your head. Because you know, whether you have insurance or not, if you get into an accident and you are legally liable, you will be legally liable. If an uninsured person crashes into your vehicle, they are still legally liable to fix it, whether they are insured or not. So the charge of no insurance is kind of just a force to pay the insurance kind of charge to me. I think insurance is a whole scam. That's a Ponzi scheme, as it were, a scheme that got in at the bottom end of governance and forced governance to take it seriously. So here we are forced into this whole con man job. But we pretend we don't understand. The officers pretend they don't understand why people call around during roadblocks. And you know, right off the tail of this article, I saw another article here talking about a man who was charged from Princetown. Taradale man to face Princetown court over traffic offences. On January 26th, a 35-year-old man from Taradale was granted 10,000 surety bail by a justice of the peace charged with 2 traffic offences. He is expected to appear in the Princetown Magistrates Court on January 31st to answer the charges of driving without a driver's permit and a valid insurance certificate. He was also issued a fixed penalty notice for allegedly failing to wear a seatbelt. He was arrested by Princetown Municipal Police in a road traffic exercise on January 26 from 8:30 a.m. to 1:30 p.m. Y'all hearing the time? 8:30 a.m. to 1:30 p.m. And here's what they got. Y'all want to know why people call around for the roadblocks? Here's what they got. The police also issued 32 fixed penalty notices and completed 64 field interview forms. 8:30, 9:30, I want to make sure I'm checking correct, you know, 9:30, 10:30, 11:30, 12:30, 1:30. That's 5 hours of police work from multiple police. They charged and arrested one man for the heinous crime of driving without a license and without a valid insurance certificate. 8:30 to 1. Inside the city. You know we get inside the city 8:30 to 1? Parents. 8:30 to 1? Parents. They drop their children to school and now they're going to do something else to get some duties done for the day. And what would they see? A roadblock sticking up traffic to waste their time for 2 hours, and then when they happen upon the roadblock, oops, what would you know? Your back left tire was 2 millimeters too smooth. Whole $600. Ticket, that is. And then you're telling me, if I have the opportunity to call around and tell some people to avoid that somehow I am a bandit lover. You know, if I do a my brethren pay $1,200 for nonsense, I am a bandit lover. But them thing don't catch no bandits. Which bandit you catching 8:30 to 1:30, 8:30 a.m. to 1:30 p.m.? 32 fixed penalty notices. Scraping the working class people of money. I wonder if one luxury vehicle, any vehicle worth $500,000 or more, if they got even one ticket. Or if it's a SETA B13, B14 and TIDA. They scour them for any loose cash they have hanging around their house to rake it in and carry it into the government. And then big strong police and them would come up and say, we don't understand how these Trinis love bandits so. Why they only want to sell out the roadblocks? Because they love the bandits. I like that one wide letter. The gun most used to fight crime is the speed gun. Strange, strange, strange thing to me. I saw though that a lot of traffic wardens were recently passed out, and the intention is to allow police to do policing, and that's a point that I have made now. Personally, I don't think we even need the traffic wardens. Just leave it be. Take the police out and put nobody. But if somebody must do it, let some traffic wardens do it. Police get bonuses based on tickets issued, maybe a shiny plaque too even. Well, I know there are quotas. There are quotas in ticket giving, and I find that to be a ridiculous prospect. That's insane. That is insane. Insanity. Like, do they have quotas for robberies that they must arrest a certain amount of robbery suspects? How could you have a quota for ticket notices? But that tells you what it's all about. They, as I always say, police who do that, they are the bad guys from Robin Hood. They are who Robin Hood was wiping out to get back the money for the working class people. The kind of thugs and bandits who would rake out the extra dollars of the working class people to give it to wasteful, wealthy politicians. You're the bad guy. Like, okay, you sleep fine at night with your 4% increase, but you probably deserve less. You're the bad guy in this situation if you're doing things like that. Speaking of bad guys, though, I saw here Jack Warner wants to find out who are the lawyers making money off of his extradition case. And I was making this point last week. Time is the friend of wealthy people. Jack has enough money to ask enough legal questions that he will never see that extradition, it seems like. And we have seen such things happen. There were two financiers of the UNC from way back in the 90s, and they were, well, it's not even really allegedly because they were found guilty of that crime. And they were supposed to go to the United States to face some of that music, and they somehow were able to tarry all of that until one now has passed on. Until one has passed on. And that's what I say about the legal system and money. This legal system isn't really about justice. It isn't really about justice. Because if you have enough money, you could delay justice till you never face it. And then how is that justice? Blessings, Christopher Hines. Blessings, blessings. Jack Warner wants info on fees paid by state in extradition. Former FIFA Vice President Jack Warner wants to know how much money was spent to hire attorneys to extradite him to the United States, where he faces 29 charges of fraud, corruption, and money laundering when he was Vice President of Football World's governing body. Warner is now challenging the Permanent Secretary of the Office of the Attorney General for failing to disclose all invoices, fee requisitions, and payments to all barristers, solicitors, and attorneys in ongoing proceedings against him. His claim was filed in December last year and was set for a first hearing on March, but by Justice Karen Reed, who also ordered his attorneys to serve the application on the Permanent Secretary. So he wants to know, since 2015 till now, who y'all paying all this money to get me extradited? And, you know, I would have always thought, until I found out differently, I would have always thought that, okay, we have basically a lawyer's office inside of our government. Good. Inside of our government. And you would think they could have at least the lawyers necessary and staff. But no, that's not how it's done. Almost all of this would be, as it were, contracted out to independent lawyers out there. So, you know, it might be a time-wasting strategy that Mr. Warner is attempting to use. But I actually find it to be a useful direction on the country's part. At least allow us to see how the thing goes. As I was saying from the very beginning, it seems like regardless of how anything turns out, regardless who wins, who loses, who draws, who comes last, the lawyers always win. Government is URP for lawyers. I'll have to print that jersey. Government is URP for lawyers. Another one I was looking at like that. Judge quashes deportation order for Venezuelan mother. A high court judge has quashed the deportation order for a Venezuelan mother issued even though there was an injunction in place preventing her removal from Trinidad and Tobago. So, Justice Margaret Mohammed also declared the decision by former National Security Minister Stuart Young to issue the deportation despite an injunction irrational and illegal. Mohammed also ordered the state to pay the Venezuelan mother's legal bills. So, a Venezuelan mother breaks our law, illegally enters our country. They put her out. She returns 3 days later or something like that, illegally again. They hold her. She gets an injunction somehow. They try to deport her still. She hires lawyers. It goes through the court system for months. At the end of this, the state pays their lawyers. The state pays the Venezuelan mother's lawyers. And Trinidad and Tobago is no better for it. Government is URP for lawyers. It is ridiculous. Every direction you turn, this is what you see in it. Every direction you turn, this is what you see. Some kind of nonsense happening, some government official doing some foolishness, and in the end, they hire a battery of lawyers, pay them millions of dollars to at least write it up to make it seem nice. Like, I would like to see. I'd like to see a country where they ban the practice of law as a profession or something. Everyone has to learn law to see themselves in court, and there's no lawyer you could hire. Like, I'd just like to see an experimental country like that. Ban law. And tell me if the country would really fall apart. Because somehow I feel like I doubt it's the lawyers holding the country apart. I somehow struggle to believe that. I feel like we could get rid of them and still be on a solid path as a country. What's this? And with the migrant situation, that seems to constantly be it. You know, these people are breaking our laws. Granted, some actions are not 100% in line, and they're hiring the top lawyers to go and fight their case against the state. And then, if the case is lost, the state pays both sides. So the illegal migrants are basically a money-making machine for lawyers. The divers drowned. Very tragic. Money-making machine for lawyers. Maybe that's why no lawyers have TikTok channel. Ha. Government is URP for lawyers. As long as government are wrong, they're good. Living Waters and UNHCR hold more power than some of our elected officers. I personally believe more and more now UN should be disbanded. Let individual countries make their decisions. The idea that some global organization headquartered in Europe or in some first world country could determine how many illegal outsiders we as a small island are supposed to take. Somehow they're supposed to, lean their weight on us and tell us, take more people. I find that should be totally up to us. They're out of place, in my opinion. Out of place, bad, bad. Earlier, Wendy's win something, boy. How many of you all follow that match? We win a test match, boy. We win a test match with the youth men out there. Finally. You know what that revealed to me? I always say this, and I don't know how many of you all would subscribe to that in life. But I say the West Indies still is filled with cricket fans, you know. It's just what the West Indies has is a lot of broken-hearted cricket fans. Cricket fans who are hurt. But if the West Indies side starts performing solidly for even a 3-month stint, all of a sudden you're going to reignite a lot of those fans. West Indies had a good fan base, and I think that was one of the best lasting relics out of that unity drive of the Caribbean. Battered and bruised from losses. Bro, it's not even the losses in Osmanos. It's just how they lose, man. West Indies could snatch defeat out of the jaws of victory. That kind of loss where you're watching this game and there's no way we're supposed to lose this. And that's when you're sure we're going to lose. Hey, Hotep, what going on, bro? What going on? You see the youth men ignite some life into the maroon. Rally. Rally around the West Indies. Now and forever. Yeah, boy, Trini Hotep. The Flannel Knights flashing their willow and leather, man. They win something. They win something. I'm happy for the youths. I'm happy for the youth. Listen, it is my cricket team too, to be very honest with you. I don't support any, like, you know, I once knew a cricket fan, Trinidadian, that was a supporter of Australia. I don't understand how, I just don't understand how you could be a Trinidadian and supporting the Australian cricket team, like, of all cricket teams in the world. That's the one you'd go for. But big up West Indies, big up, big up. Listen, I almost cried when I see that win yesterday. Good stuff, man. I heard Carl Hooper cry, Lara nearly cry out there down under. Good for them, good for them. Good night, Splinter Cell. And I'm glad to see finally, at least it's the younger generation, you know. People have been lamenting about that for years, that it seems like, you know, when these sometimes the West Indies seems like, you know, they're held up on the older generations for too long. Like, let those guys go out to pasture and bring in some young people. I find West Indies for cricket, at least at one point, was like Brazil with football, where you blink and there's another young footballer coming out of Brazil. The same thing was cricket in the West Indies. You blink and there's another young cricketer coming out. And if that's the case, then the West Indies side is supposed to be so competitive. No old 36-year-old man or anything like that is supposed to have a safe space on that side. No, not when you have little boys playing from the time they wake up, they play through the whole hot sun until the sunset, they play in cricket, and they are little cricket pyongs and cricket beasts. And you're going to leave a little 18-year-old with the passion for the cricket. You're going to leave them to go and pick some 38-year-old millionaire who already kind of fed up playing halfway. Nah, man. So I'm glad that the young fellas had a good showing. Hopefully, that's a sign of things to come. To be very honest with you though, I don't have that hope in the West Indies side. I put my hope in Almighty God, who I know isn't going to fail me. The West Indies side, not so much. Not so much. I am happy for the win, but my hope hasn't soared quite yet, to be very honest with you. Worse yet, a test match. 5 days is long to watch we lost, eh? 5 days is plenty. It's plenty cricket to watch we lost. You're just trying to get in the charger there. No, no, no. The Hope not invested. West Indies still has some more. They still have some more to do to win me back on their side permanently. For me to invest, my heart cannot take being broken again. I know we haven't beaten them for a while, but still, my heart can't take it. Once broken, twice shy. And I feel like West Indies has broken it quite a few more times than two. Quite a few more times than. It's management as per usual. Yeah, the old people need to go and give people a chance. And speaking about that, perfect segue. Rowley ponders retirement. Prime Minister Dr. Keith Rowley has revealed that he's contemplating retirement following his wife's decision to retire last year. Rowley made the statement on Saturday night as the People's National Movement celebrated its 68th anniversary as a political party, commemorated by the reopening of the newly renovated and refurbished Balize House at Tranquility Street, Port of Spain. Rowley's statement was in response to suggestions from PNM's deputy political leaders, Rohan Sinanan and Colm Imbert, that he would lead the party in the upcoming election. And again, like, Mr. Colm Imbert is talking about wanting Dr. Rowley to lead them into the next election. Mr. Imbert is a pensioner. Dr. Rowley is a pensioner. What are they talking about lead anything? How come you could force people out of nearly every job for purpose of retirement except here? Like, I'm saying that, but I know why. I know why, because it's a voted job. You could vote for whoever you want, and if you want a young person, you should vote for a young person. I understand that. But from the political side, the PNM is relaunching itself. And instead of you focus on some kind of future succession, you're boasting that the PNM is looking to have a pensioner lead the other pensioners into the future. Like, brethren, calm, bro. Relax. There are other people that could do the job. Even inside of the PNM, if you're a PNM stalwart. There are other people inside the PNM. Honorable Mr. Speaker says PNM cannot win the 2025 election without PMKR at the helm. I am not sure I believe that, Honorable Mr. Speaker. I think under KR, PNM as it stands, this is my prediction. I don't know for a fact. I don't have this for a fact or a statistical model for this. This is my prediction based on my opinion. I think if KR stays as the political leader of the PNM and KPB stays as the political leader of the UNC, I believe the PNM wins the next election. But I believe there will be a low voter turnout because I don't think anyone would be very excited to vote for either of them. I think if KR isn't there and KPB is still there and they get a replacement for KR, there would the PNM would still win, and they may in fact win by a wider margin. They don't see the need to fix things that not broken, it working for them, Little Miss Mediator said. And Little Miss Mediator, that's why I put some blame on the opposition. By Tanti staying there, she's basically letting the PNM know you all could continue doing whatever you all want. Because the country has already shown time and time again they have refused and rejected KPB and her group for leadership. Why are you going to come back with them? Like, even a random group of nobodies would at least throw up the mystery to the PNM that maybe you might lose, who knows? But this is the same group. They face the same group in multiple elections and they have beaten them all of the time before. The opposition is reinforcing the PNM into this kind of stalemate. The PNM doesn't need to try to find any kind of change. They don't need to try to figure out any new appeals to the public because the UNC is the same old. If I have a relay team, I am Trinidad, I am Central. Let's say the Central Zone has a relay team. And we run the East Zone, which we face the East Zone relay team every year in national finals. And every year the East Zone picks the same 4 people, the Central Zone picks the same 4 people, and we keep winning. And then this year I look at the roster and I see the same 4 people again for the East Zone. Would I change my Central Zone team? No. It's the same team that has been proven to beat them. Trini people better the demon we know. These things, I don't think it's a Trini people issue necessarily as in a wider public issue. I think it's an issue of organization and system. If you have an organization with a structure, it's incentivized for the people that have attained the power in the organization to remain at the powerful helm. What incentive is there to leave? Dr. Rowley went up to be Prime Minister of Trinidad and Tobago. The man wants power. That's not saying it as an insult to Dr. Rowley. But if you go up to be the Prime Minister of the country, it's because you like power to some extent. You think that you are good at this. You enjoy power to some extent. Obviously, if you didn't like power, you wouldn't go into that job. So if somebody likes power to some extent, wouldn't it be difficult for them to give up? Instructions from PNM financiers that the pensioners stays, they're perfect oppressors. So who instructs the UNC to keep their pensioners splinter cell? Or you didn't know? Good night, David Frost. What's your view on earlier instructing police to desist operational where I saw that? And to be honest, I honestly, I'm not sure. To me, the article I saw spoke about without instruction. And I didn't know that police could just wear anything anytime without instruction. I didn't know that was a thing. So I'm not sure. I'm not even sure what to make of it. Why would police want to just randomly be wearing tactical? That's my question. Unpopular opinion, nothing is wrong with Prime Minister or the opposition leader. I don't understand what you mean nothing is wrong. I'm not sure what the context of wrong you're using here. I mean, they're electable. It's not illegal for them to go up for as a candidate. So in that sense, nothing is wrong with them. But if you're talking about in the sense of ideal for Trinidad and Tobago, I would say that plenty is wrong with them. If we're talking about ideal here. PNM approval is at an all-time low. Voter support is not there. UNC voter support is strong. UNC voter support is always strong. UNC's problem is not getting their base to support them. UNC's base is immovable. That's like black women for the Democrats in the United States. 98% is sure going to vote. That's not going to move. UNC doesn't have to worry about that. That's not a worry for UNC. UNC's problem is getting over the hill. What's the youngest age of a PM candidate you would vote, Nathan? Very good question, Reeve. I think it might be according to their family situation. I don't think I would want to vote for a prime minister that doesn't have children. 1. And 2, I don't think I'd want to vote for a prime minister that has very young children. maybe that might be a limiting on the age range there. Like, if you are just starting up this parenting business, maybe focus on your babies and leave the country. If you have children over a certain age, at least we could look at your children and see what your leadership within the home is like. Would you vote for a bachelor PM? I don't think so, no. Bachelor how? As in a divorcee or a widower? Because I already said I am not going to vote for a prime minister without children. And someone who is having children outside of the bounds of marriage, I will not vote for them. I'm putting it plainly. I'm telling you plain as it is. I'm not voting for them because that shows a certain level of indiscipline to me. As in single unmarried, I think that's an insane idea to give a single unmarried man the power to run your country. I don't think that's a good idea, personally. I will not. And I'm talking, everything here is face value. Understood. I mean, maybe there might be God incarnate or something comes down and he's a single unmarried man, and great. But in general, no. I think that's not a positive thing generally for me. I certainly find that some of our leaders are too old. And it's not even too old in just the age. It's too old in the style. It's like they don't seek to maintain an up-to-date thinking. Like, okay, Bernie Sanders is a very old man, but Bernie Sanders doesn't exude that retirement thinking style. You may not like his socialism or progressivism, but he doesn't feel like he's off the edge. You find Michaela could make a good PM? I don't know. We need a 34-year-old PM now. Reeve, this one is going to be controversial. And I'll let you all know it's controversial before I even say it. But a woman PM, there's I think there are thoughts to be had there too. I think there are thoughts to be had there. I think Stuart Young would be best. I don't know about best, but I think he would be electable. I think Stuart would be electable. I think Faris would be electable, even though Faris has a strong contingent of haters. I think Faris would be electable. It would be interesting to see a non-Afro lead the PNM. I feel very certain that that would kick up some 1% Syrian undercurrents that may be very distasteful, but it would be interesting. It would be interesting to see a non-Afro lead the PNM. There's Dr. Amory Brown, even though he doesn't necessarily seem like that kind of ambition is in him. Foster Cummings, as someone earlier said, he is already high up inside of the PNM party, and if you know how the PNM generally functions, they work through their party like that. So the person who is probably next in line, judging from the party, might be Mr. Cummings. Stuart is the most, he's the minister of everything. I read something called the Peter Principle in Management recently. Some of our leaders are fitting of what was mentioned. I don't think, at least not at the top of my head, I have a knowledge of what the Peter Principle is. Interesting in this though, although Rowley talked about retirement, he didn't say he was going to retire, just by the way. So y'all can't hold him to that because he didn't say he was going to retire at all. How is he a liability, Honorable Speaker? That's interesting. How would you say he's a liability? In what way? Because I don't know if I would say that. But yeah, that's who I see on the horizon. If Michaela, as someone pointed out, if Michaela was able to get into the UNC hierarchy and became political leader of the United National Congress and brought in a basically fresh ticket there, I think the PNM would be in for a lot of trouble. Are you talking about the person who may be related to him, Honorable Mr. Speaker? Yes, he said that militant rockstar. He did say that, but a broken word isn't a unique thing for a politician. You know, politicians not keeping their word is no new thing. That's no strange sight. So I wouldn't be surprised if he's there again. And I won't be surprised if somehow the UNC has a change if you actually see him change then. Okay, right. PNM deciding factor is actually US election. Trump wins, goodbye Maduro dragon gas deal. I don't actually think so. I don't think if Trump wins, the Maduro dragon gas deal goes kaput. I don't necessarily think so. Trump hasn't necessarily shown himself to be so much more aggressive than everyone else. I don't know that for sure, but I don't see that as necessarily being so. That might actually happen, Brandon AP. All right. People, we're coming down to an end here. Now we're trying to make sure my voice comes back in slowly after battling that flu for a whole week there. Are there any further comments or questions inside of the live before I dive out? Oh, one of the interesting things I started, I got some time to, get back in and make some cuts of the lives and put up some short videos and things. And someone was like, hey, you come back, boy, where you went? For those of you who have been in the live, you know, I went nowhere. I was always here for hours every night. But we were trying to make sure at least some of the clips from the lives make its way out there. What about the community recovery committee? Would isn't it a woman something with the isn't there a woman inside of that somewhere, Honorable Mr. Speaker? I don't like those initiatives. To be very honest, I don't know about it. I don't know the inner workings of it. But on the face of it, I generally don't like those kinds of initiatives because very often what they do is go in attempting to cuddle crime out of the way, and it eventually ends up funneling money into the hands of criminals. 2024 is going to be alright. Strap in. Fact. Trini Hotep says, be mindful, not mindless. Word up, bro. Word up. How come no one does nominate Imbert since he running the... Woo! I don't think Imbert is very electable. And to be very honest, I think Imbert knows that. I don't think Colm has dreams of being the prime minister. I don't know, maybe he does, but as far as I know, I don't think he does. And I don't think Colm would win. I think Tantikams might beat Colm. Colm is not a very likable guy. And if he has to speak more on a political platform going up for prime minister, the more he speaks, the more you would hear his tone and tenor of speaking. And I just don't think his tone and tenor is the most likable. I mean, granted, Dr. Rowley himself isn't per se a cuddly, lovable bear out there. So, who knows? Maybe the country might like that style, but Jaron, J. Chris, Do we that? Do we that? Heinz for PM. That's not happening either. I think Heinz might get less votes than Culm. Especially after being that Minister of National Security. And then he takes that portfolio with his usual flair for lots of words. And that's not something the country takes well. I don't think that's something the country would be enjoying to put in front as leader. All right, people. That's all I have for now. I hope you're educated, informed, or entertained. I am Nathan Springer. This has been the Mindful Life. And I'll see you guys again for the next Mindful Life tomorrow evening, starting around that 9:30 p.m. time. Until then, people, stay safe, stay well. Peace out. Bye. Honestly, I could see UNC pushing for Michaela and PNM Brian Manning riding his dad legacy. I don't see that. Michaela could be a politician. She could be a leader. She seems like she has the charisma. Mr. Brian seems as charismatic as drying paint. I just don't see Mr. Brian doing it. Amory Brown, he has a smooth finish. Penny, maybe her time passed. Peace out, folks. I'm out. Laters. Bye.